Hello, John. Hello, Mary. Hello, everybody else out there. How's everybody doing tonight? Oi! Let me get my this chair adjusted. You know what? I need a decent chair. That's what I need. This thing, I swear. Whew. All right, where was I? Oh, just you two, huh? You're a nut too. So Mary was asking me just a minute ago about these guys. Who am I to play something? Okay, I can play something. Oi! What do you want me to play? Oi! Something. Okay. Hello, Tina Ladybug. And Carl. See, it's not just you, Mary. All right. I'm going to put this thing down for a minute. Oh, yeah. Because I have no idea what I'd be playing anyway. So Mary was on the phone with me just before we got started and was asking me about this thing here. And the lighting is just horrible. I'm going to open it up and make sure there isn't anything crawling around. I've got this unique little item right here. Does anybody know what this is? Mary knows, so you can't say. Does anybody recognize what this is? Well, it doesn't look like it's hatched yet. So I'm just going to put it back in here. All right. So I've got some sort of egg case that I am keeping in a container with little holes on the lid, and it hasn't hatched yet. No? All right. Let me flash it one more time. Amethyst stone. Okay. Hints. It is smaller than a bread. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Tina got it. Yep. This is a case of Chinese mantis eggs. Yep. And they should be hatching any day now. It's about that time. Tina got it in one. Yeah, it hasn't hatched yet, but it's getting close to about that time. Well, we'll see. There should be, maybe 100 baby little mantises in here. But I do have to keep an eye on it because the minute it hatches, they need to get out and get to the point where they can disperse and get to work going and eating insects. Otherwise, they'll start eating each other. They're picky that way. They'll cannibalize in a heartbeat. So yay, spring! Spring is here, guys. I was out earlier today. It was very, very cloudy, but I was out earlier today. It hadn't started raining, and I don't know if it's going to rain tonight or not. The weather's like that today. And I was looking at the little trees that I've got that I transplanted this past year while they were still in dormancy. And all of the pecan trees that I transplanted are starting to wake up. So that's a good indication to me that spring is upon us because they're about the last tree to start waking up around here. They take their time, but apparently all of my little pecan transplants are starting to green up. And is that light? Is that too much from over here? I'm looking at the camera and or not the camera at the screen, and it just seems like it might be a bit too bright. Boy, is that any better? Maybe a little bit. Okay. Chris says, all of my trees are starting to wake up too. So exciting. Yeah, yeah, it is. Red buds are blooming. I'm gonna be doing a video here in the near future where I go out and I pick up some buds from the red bud trees and attempt to make some wine out of them. Not for drinking, but for converting to vinegar. So I have a vinegar made out of the sweet blossoms of the red bud tree, and then I'll hold on to that until next year, and then I'll infuse that vinegar with fresh red bud blossoms and make some salad dressing. So I'm about 2 years away from salad dressing. Yay! That ought to be fun. John says it rained there hard for about an hour. It rained here lightly for about 15 minutes. No, Mary, I haven't picked the buds yet. But I need to very soon because they're getting ready to go from being buds to being little tiny pea pods. I can wait until the pods start to form, but if I'm going to harvest them for the flowers, I need to do it sometime this week. Hi, Kitty. Hi, Kitty. Sassafras Red, I don't know if he's in here or not. He said he was going to go out to dinner. He just planted over 100 trees today, variety of different things. I'm presuming little ones. So we're coming close to the end of that period of time where it's okay to order trees and things because a lot of people have their the dormancy period coming to an end. Oh, cool. Jan uses red buds for tree, or red buds for tree. Red bud for tree, that's the word. For tea. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Yes, Mary, over 100. Like an insane number of trees. And they're just a wide variety of things too. I think he could have planted more filberts, more nut trees, but most of it was plums. Well, half of it was plums. All right, Chris, sick for 2 days. Oh, yeah. Ew. I don't like being sick. Being sick is no fun. I'm looking around for my coffee cup and I realize that I don't have it with me here. Oh no. So Jan was wanting to try making jelly out of red buds. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Hello, Amy, Craze Family Homestead. Hello, Farmer Q, Lioncrest Outdoors Gardening. What's up? We're getting ready to talk about what to look for when you go out to go buy trees. So you're going to go buy a tree. There's a couple places where you can do it. They always sell them at the home and garden centers, usually around this time of year, and usually the ones that you see at the home and garden centers around this time of year are in great big old pots. As a matter of fact, that peach tree that you saw me plant just the other day was exactly that type of tree. Not ordinarily something I would do, but it was sitting there and it was talking to me and it said, "Come by me, please. Take me out of this horrible, horrible place." And I decided, okay, fine, I'll buy you and get you out of here against my better judgment. Because usually, whenever you've got a tree that's been grown at a nursery and grown in a pot like that, the roots are going to go out, they're going to hit all the pot, and then they'll start circling around and around and around. They'll get to the bottom of the pot and they'll form a mass, a hard, interlaced mass of roots, which is called being root bound. And once a tree has gotten trained to that point where it's got its roots growing together, it's hard to break them of the habit. Old trees, they have bad habits. Either they're used to having their roots just go out this far and all the nutrients they need just come right to that point, or they've been trying to get somewhere and have discovered that they can't go anywhere. And they've learned that they can't grow beyond this space. So, one of the first things to look for whenever shopping for trees is the way the tree has been grown. Has it been grown in such a way that the roots are going to wind up being bound, or has it been grown in some other way? And you might be wondering, well, what are the other ways you could grow a tree that would not have the roots wind up being bound? And there's principally two different ways. The first way is if you ask them, "Hey, where did this tree come from?" and they say, "Oh, we dug it out when it was time for it to be transplanted. We dug it out and put it in the pot. That's one way that you could have a tree grown that isn't root bound. There is a problem with that. Typically, your tree is going to have at least one very deep taproot. Taproot. This is the word taproot. Taproot, and then multiple feeder roots coming out from the root ball. And when you're attempting to dig the tree out and remove it from the ground, there's a good chance that a lot of those smaller roots are going to wind up getting broken. So the tree is already going to come with damaged roots. All right. Chris was asking, what's the secret? Because I have a couple from the hardware store here. Okay. If it's not too late, whenever you get them, remove them from the pot and knock all of the potting mix off of them entirely. And then if you can, unwind the roots and detangle them. If you can. You can't always. Sometimes they're just such a mess that you just have to break out the knife or the sickle or whatever you've got and cut through the roots to get them to be released, and you're going to wind up losing some roots. There's just not any getting out of it if the tree is too old. But if it's in a pot, that's what you want to do. Is don't ever take the whole mass of dirt and roots all wound up the way they are and just put it in the ground like that. Do at least attempt to liberate the roots, because the growing medium that they've had them in, they have to feed it with fertilizer constantly. Mary is asking, trimming them? Yes, you can actually trim the roots, prune the roots. As a matter of fact, some perennials, if I'm packing them up to ship, I will prune the roots a little bit myself to begin with. I'll prune some of the roots and I'll prune some of the tops. Partially that's to help them fit into the packaging, but also the more mass the tree is attempting, the tree or the perennial is attempting to support, the more difficult it is for it to adjust whenever it's planted. So you'll cut back a lot of the foliage to begin with before shipping it. If you're seeing stuff that's getting shipped with a whole bunch of foliage up on top, this is a potential problem because the tree has to support all of that above ground mass. You're better off getting a twig in all actuality. a small, little tiny, just the main leader, everything else pruned off. And ideally your best way to get a tree is a bare root, where it's not packaged in soil. I recall not too long ago reading reviews from a nursery, which I do sometimes. I like to read the reviews. What is it the customers are saying after they visited a place? And there was one of them that stood out where the customer was unhappy, and it struck me as interesting because they gave this nursery a 1-star rating. Nursery had plenty of 5-star reviews, but this was a 1-star. So I said, okay, what's the horrible thing that this poor person's had happen that gives them the 1-star rating? And it turns out that this particular customer was upset because her mental image of what a tree was that she would receive from the nursery was this trunk with a bunch of branches coming off of it and a lot of leaves up here, and then a pot with all the roots in it down here. That's what she thought she was going to be getting. And the nursery instead sent her a nicely pruned bare root tree, which is perfect for transplanting during its dormant period. I mean, they're not supposed to have leaves on them during the dormant period. So she got what she thought was a twig, and she spent a fair amount of money on it, and she was very upset that she had gotten a twig. And the nursery explained to her that they ship bare root plants. It's the only way they ship trees. But it occurred to me that a lot of people out there are locked into this idea of what they think a tree coming from a nursery is supposed to be. And because this lady did not know that what she was getting was preferable, she was upset because she thought she was going to get a pot. All right, so there's the ones that come in pots. Ideally, you get bare root trees because you're not paying to ship the dirt. It's a very good reason to get bare root trees. Also, any root pruning that needs to be done has already been done, and you don't have to sit there and try to untangle a mass of roots and yeah, break out the pruners and clip them and do things like that, trying to free your tree up. Let's see, Amy is saying the lady that I'm gardening for had loads of bushes just plopped on the ground 6 years ago. They died in they died in the storms. And when I dug them up, they were still growing in circles. Yeah, the roots were still, yeah. Well, they've been trained to grow that way because they were growing in a pot. And this is all the bush knows is I need to grow this way. It's very, very sad. Best Life says the bare root trees I planted last year are still a twig. If you're planted during their dormant period last year, we're talking like just a couple of months ago, then they should be waking up here pretty soon. But yeah, depending upon what it is, it may take them a while to start growing. If you've got a tree that you've planted and spring is coming and things are starting to wake up and you're wondering if it's alive or not, it might, just be it's a twig sticking up out of the ground. You're like, I don't know. Is it going to wake up? Is it going to make it? Did it die? An easy way of checking is to take one of the smaller branches and go out to the tip of it and break off a tip, and then have a look. And if you've got green cambium, green inner bark, it's still alive. It's just hasn't woken up yet. But if that is brown, break it off a little lower and look. And if it's brown, then break it off a little lower. And if it's brown, then break it off a little lower. And if it's brown all the way down, yeah, you've got a dead tree. Let's see. You guys talking about there. Hello, Robert, Homestead Aquarius. Robert Homestead Aquarius is now the new boss for Team Woodcutter. And Robert, I just want you to know that I've got a video coming out. I think it's Monday for Shed Wars. Will be the first of my two videos for this month. And Monday is my Shed Wars video that's coming out, and it will be on eating wood, just for John, because he was being mean to Luke at Feather and Down Homestead earlier about the can I weigh my firewood question. So I'm actually showing ways that you can convert wood that you would use for fuel as a into a way to get food. But I won't give too much of that away. You'll want to watch it. All right. What? Amy, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. What? What's Amy? Oh. Oh. Amy's going to have an alter ego. I see. Amy's alter ego is going to be named Gerald. That's going to be interesting. Oh, yeah, I know you're there, John. I see you. In any case, it'll be fun. Remember, I told you. Here's my finger. I told you. I told you I'd show you how to eat wood and like it. It'll be fun. You'll like it. All right. So you could have it's like split person. Cool. So you're gonna put the crazed into the crazed family homestead. For people that don't know, Crazed Family Homestead, the Crazed and Crazed Family Homestead is like the that crackled pattern that you get on a porcelain finish, a crazed pattern. Not, but apparently Amy's going to go ahead and put the into Crazed Family. It'll be fun. Doing little characters during Shed Wars is fun. Actually, just doing little characters is fun in general. You guys have met Uncle Pappy from the Bull's Garden, right? Okay. Da-da-da. Q says, just working on organizing a few things you should have this winter. Is start a channel, post 100 videos. It ain't for nothing. All right. So you can dig your trees out. And if you grow a tree in the ground and dig it out, the roots won't be root bound, but you'll probably lose a few. I did a pretty good job getting the pecan seedlings out that I shipped out this year, and maintained the taproot, which is probably the most important part. I mean, some of them have taproots that were about that long. This much tree, this much taproot. But that was just using that really long transplant shovel. The other way of getting a tree to grow and be healthy without getting root bound is using a technique that I'm going to be introducing here pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. And that is called air pruning. And air pruning is really exciting. This is where you build a box, a large box, to plant your trees in, plant your seedlings in. You fill it with your earth or your planting medium, whatever it is that you're going to use to plant into. And then you place your seedlings in rows across the surface of the box. Now, the outside of the box is fairly normal, just like you would build a raised garden bed. But the bottom of the box is made of hardware cloth, and it sits up off of the ground on blocks. And what happens here is, as the tree grows, it sends its roots out the way it normally would. But whenever it reaches that hardware cloth, the tips of the roots go through the hardware cloth and are exposed to the air. And when they're exposed to the air, same thing happens in this case as would happen if you planted your tree and allowed air pockets underground. Those root ends die. And so the tree will grow to the point where the roots start to go through the bottom. And then those root tips die. And you never wind up in a situation where the tree has roots circling around and around and around. As a matter of fact, whenever the tips die, it will compensate by putting out more roots. So you'll have a more bushy root ball instead of having just a few roots that come down and start circling. So one of the things to look for whenever you're shopping for trees is ask the nursery how they're grown. If they say, well, we grow them in pots, if you've got an alternative, find an alternative to that nursery. If they tell you, we dig them out to order, to go, okay, there's a possibility that I could wind up with some damaged roots, but at least they're not going to be root bound. That's a plus. And if they tell you that they're using air pruning, then you'll know that you've got a very serious nursery that's going to ship you a superior product. So that's some of the things that you want to look for when you're tree shopping. Another thing that you can look for when tree shopping is how the tree was propagated in the first place. There's a couple terms. We've got seedling, we have grafted rootstock, and we have self-rooted trees. All three of these, there we go. I see my fingers. All three of these mean different things. A seedling tree is grown from a seed from its parents. Obviously, this is how nature does it. And seedling trees have genetics that are not identical, but similar to the mother tree and similar to the father tree. Well, you're going to know what the mother was because that's the tree that seed came from. So you know at least half of what the genetics of the seedling are. The other half depend upon where the pollen came from. And if it's a limited source that the pollen could have come from, then you kind of know a little bit about that parent's genetics as well. But if they're just out there in the open, then you really don't know. It's whatever pollen happened to hit that stamen at the right time, and that's the genetics you got. And the seedling is going to be a mix of the two parents. Now, if you're looking for genetic diversity in your garden, in your orchard, or whatever other context you're working in, seedlings are great. Seedlings are awesome. If you want to have the chance of coming up with the next golden delicious apple or whatever it is, you want seedlings. If you're looking for guaranteed results, specific yields, the kind of fruit that you get is exactly what you anticipate or expect, then you're not going to want seedlings. You're going to want either self-rooted or grafted rootstock. I'll get to those. A grafted rootstock is where you take a cutting from a known variety of a tree, and you put that to the side here. And then you grow another tree, either from a cutting that you root or from a seedling, which is most likely the case, and cut off the top of that tree. So you have the tree here, cut off the top. So now you have just the roots and a little tiny stump. And you're going to take the known variety and graft it onto the root and have a new tree, which is the rootstock that you grew a seedling out of, with the known variety on it. Most of the fruit trees that you buy from nurseries are like this. They've taken a rootstock, they started a seed, they've grown the roots, and now they've grafted onto it. So they're at least 1 year old. They'll have grown the roots for one full season. They started the plant probably in the spring sometime, grew all the way to the winter. Winter came along, they collected their scion. That's the adult wood from the known variety. Stored that usually in a refrigerator over the winter. As spring approaches, they graft it on there. The graft takes about 2 or 3 months, and then they sell you the tree, and you've got a 1 year old, freshly grafted, perhaps even 2 year old, depending upon how it's been kept during that interim period, tree that you can now plant out that's going to produce that specific type of fruit that you were looking for. Hello, Gail, Southern Living. So if you ever wonder about the prices of some trees, keep in mind what you're paying for is, one, you're paying for that real estate space that the nursery had, that they spent to grow that seedling in the first place, and the work that it took to go and get that scion and bring it back, and then the work that it took to graft that onto the seedling, and yeah, probably also the real estate space to keep that newly grafted seedling for a full year after that before they finally sell it to you. If that space, that maybe it's 6 inches, 6x6 space that tree was going to take, is in their estimation, say $4.99 worth of space per year, then chances are it's going to be close to $10 off the bat for your grafted tree. $5 to $15 is not uncommon to be charging for scion wood. So at the low end, we've got $15 for the scion wood, and maybe another $5 for the graft if they're just doing bulk grafting and just cut, stick. But usually around $10 would be the cost that you're going to charge for that. So you're looking anywhere from $20 to $25 at the minimum for a grafted tree. If you can get one cheaper than that, then hey, you've got a nursery that isn't charging you a whole lot of money for their work, but a lot of them charge a lot more. And that's the reason why you'll see $20, $30 for a 1 or 2 year old grafted tree. It is what it is. All right, so the other way you can get a tree, and you might see this term pop up, it might say self-rooted or own root. And if you see self-rooted or own root, it means one of two things. Either one, it grew from a seed as a seedling and it has its own roots. Or two, it's a cutting or a sucker, either a rooted cutting or a sucker off of the parent tree. So depending upon what it is, you'll probably be able to tell whether this was grown from seed or is a rooted cutting. If it's a specific type or cultivar or varietal of a tree, then it's not going to be a seedling. It's going to be either a rooted cutting or a sucker that's been cut off. In the case of rooted cuttings and suckers, then the genetics of that particular new tree are going to be identical to the parent that it came from. It's essentially a clone. So your two best things, if you are wanting to know what it is that you're getting, are to get grafted rootstock. Ideally, if they can tell you what the rootstock was that they grafted onto, that's good information to have, but they won't always tell you. They may not even know. So grafted rootstock gives you your known variety, and the other one is a self-rooted cutting or sucker, and then you'll have the known variety of tree. So the Doris hazelnuts that I just planted are self-rooted. They're actually cuttings that were clipped out and grown as or not cuttings, but suckers that were clipped off of the parent, and they sucker easily. Hazelnuts do. All right. Joe's saying exactly. A couple of years ago, my dad bought a key lime tree, but fast forward to 2016, the key lime part grafted onto a sour orange was overwhelmed by the orange. And if you like, no, oh yeah, that could be bad. Um, that could be very bad. So yeah, if you're planning on grafting trees, keep in mind what it is that you're using as a rootstock. If the rootstock is going to grow up and overpower the other tree, or vice versa, it may not be a good match. There's a native plum called Chickasaw plum, which is probably about a 15, maybe 20-foot tall tree. So you would think, oh, that's nice. It's already dwarfed. You might use this as a rootstock. Not really, because the tree is going to grow a lot smaller than a lot of known varieties that you could graft onto it. So you have this weird situation where you have this little tiny stalk coming up here. Here's your roots. This little tiny stump coming up, and now you've grafted this big tree on top of it. It's just not going to work. And also, the growing habit of things like Chickasaw plum is to send up a lot of shoots from the root layer. They root layer or stool layer easily. The stool layering is where you have a whole bunch of suckers that are going to come up from the root ball. Some trees do this easily. Some bushes do this easily. Others don't. The American hazelnut tree likes to come up from the stool very, very easily. All I have to do if I want to get a lot of rooted suckers from those guys is just pile the mulch up really deep early in the spring. And then as winter's approaching, I pull it all back and find out which ones have developed their own root systems. And I break up the clippers and I can prune them out. And then I have genetically identical versions of those hazelnut trees. And I can then take and propagate those out or sell them if I want to. Okay, Tinker's wife, Patty, is saying, I have a sucker from the root of the neighbor's plum that will bloom this year. I have no idea. It was grafted. Well, it's not going to matter if the tree was grafted or not, because you're getting a sucker from the root. So, okay, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Um, uh, well, yeah, chances are it was grafted, but maybe it was a decent plum that it was grafted onto. I don't know. You're going to find out. A lot of times the nursery that does the work doesn't have any idea what the qualities of the rootstock is going to be. It could be good. It might be perfectly fine, and the only reason they're grafting onto that rootstock is because they want to sell people a known variety. People are not really comfortable with the unknown. They go, well, we have a pear tree, but I don't know what it's going to be like. Here's a pear tree. Or I have a Bartlett pear tree. It's going to produce Bartlett pears. Which one do you want? I got something that it's some kind of pear, or I've got a Bartlett. Which one? Most people are going to get to, I want the Bartlett tree. Thank you. I know what it is. We were introduced to ornamental pear trees a couple of years ago. The thought never occurred to me that somebody would sell a pear tree that didn't produce pears. This has been many years, but many moons ago, we bought some Bradford pear trees because it said pear. And went, oh, great, you use some pear trees. We ran out and we got these pear trees and brought them home. I was like, all right, planted them. That's great. And then since the internet was a fairly new invention, we went, okay, what's a Bradford pear tree? I've never heard of a Bradford pear tree before. oh, time to go get the chainsaw. But we did keep them because they can cross pollinate and make sure that we have fruit. Ugh. But of course, they don't produce a fruit that you want to eat. Okay, says, oh no, Bradford, the bane of all pears. Oh, they're horrible. Just horrible. All right, so Bake a Leg and Let's Dig It Homestead has arrived, but she came late. That's okay, Mel. Tina is saying some plums aren't good for fresh eating, make amazing wine. Tina, you and Mary need to get together because Mary loves plum wine. She'll pay way too much for it. But I was considering whenever our red bud trees over here next to our mom's house finally give up the ghosts. They're probably not going to be more than about another 5 or 10 years before they're done. About getting some of those nice prolific wild type of plums. Small plums, maybe not great for fresh eating, but they should make some great wine. And then we can save on our wine bill. Mary will drink the stuff. All right, let me see here. Oh, everybody's just saying hello to everybody. All right, where were we? Yeah, Bradford, and there's another one called Cleveland pear. After doing some research, I discovered they've got another one that does nothing but make flowers. Well, actually, it does make a fruit. It makes a fruit about the size of a pea, and then the birds will come along and they'll eat that and they'll fly over there and land and then poop on your car. So they're no good. The wood is very weak. They're subject to storm damage really easily, and of course, they don't produce an edible fruit. Not, or at least not one that we can eat. John says, I was told that you can graft fruit bear to a Bradford. Yes, you can graft onto it, but that weak wood is still going to be underneath it. Ideally, though, you could take a fruit pear that has been pollinated by one of those ornamentals and take the seed from it, having stored that seed in the core in a Tupperware container in the refrigerator down there in the bottom over the winter, so it's nice and fermented and pulpy, and plant those seeds, assuming your wife doesn't take them and throw them away before spring arrives, and plant those seeds and use that to develop rootstock that you're going to graft your known varieties onto, which is actually part of our plan whenever I have some pears that manage to make it without getting thrown away. Mary. And it should be okay. And I don't know whether those rootstocks are going to be part Bradford and part Bartlett or not. It's just there's Bradford pollen all over the place here. There's a church over there to the north of us that's growing a Bradford that they planted whenever the willow tree died. They should have just gotten another willow tree, but and then there's the church over there to the west of us that has 2 Bradford pear trees. So we're just boxed in on all sides by Bradford pears, and some of that pollen is going to get in, and some of our seedlings are going to have some Bradford genetics in them, which means I can't just grow a self-rooted seedling pear, at least not in a clear conscience, because it's probably not going to be any good. Mary says they were making a mess in the refrigerator. That's why she threw them away. So that was year before last was when Mary threw my pears away. And then last year, I'm down to 1 producing pear tree at the moment because the other Bartlett pear got hit by a piece of sheet metal that flew off the roof of a building nearby and just shredded it. I'm hoping that where it's growing back from is above the graft. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to get out of that pear tree. I just have to wait until it fruits and then see what it makes. If it makes good fruit, then I'll just have a nice vase-shaped pear tree, I guess. If it doesn't, then we'll have to get rid of it, pull it out, and plant something else in its place. But we won't really know until it grows. So anyway, 2 years ago, Mary took my pears that I was saving and threw them out. And then last year, somebody came by and picked all of the pears off the 1 tree that I have that's growing pears, and so I didn't get any seeds, so I don't have any rootstock. Otherwise, this year I would be offering some pear trees for sale. And the idea I have for them is to take a Bartlett pear and a Anjou pear, and I'm growing Anjou pear in the backyard, Bartlett pears in the front yard, and we'll take a rooted seed and cut off the top and use that as rootstock and then root a Anjou scion and a Bartlett scion, both onto the same rootstock. And so whenever they're done and the grafts take and they're ready to leave, if somebody gets one of them from me, we're going to have both Anjou and Bartlett pairs in the same tree. And this is great if you don't have a lot of space, because I could label them hands off. Yeah. This is great because if you only have enough space to plant one single pear tree, you could get one of my pear trees, plant it in the ground, and you'll be able to be certain that you're going to get pears off of it, because both varieties will cross pollinate with each other. And you'll have both the Anjou and the Bartlett pears that it produces. So, yay. All right. Where was I? Covered self-rooting. Yeah. Could you put an exclusion net or something over to stop it being pollinated by the brappers and then manually pollinate? Oh, wow. I mean, that's a nice observation. You could, Jandera, or Garwin, right? Yeah, Garwin. You could. You absolutely could. You could cover it up and stop the pollen from getting to it. You know, basically put a baggie over it. It'd have to be a pretty large covering and probably a lot of work, but yeah, you could. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it, because as rootstocks, they'll work just fine. And like John said, yeah, you can take a Bradford pear and graft onto it. The only problem is it's a Bradford, and it still has those nasty tendencies. John says, "Oh, the pears I'm playing dumb with, which is the green." Really, really, John, really, John. Oh, by the way, John, thank you for that $1 super chat. I completely, until you missed it last week. I don't know why I didn't notice it, but thank you very much. We appreciate it. Patty is saying, aren't Bradford's fly pollinated? Have you ever smelled those flowers? They might be, yeah. The pear season escrow. Well, she knows now. She was being helpful. She was cleaning out the fridge. I'm gonna be in trouble, aren't I? That video I released the other day about sheet mulching and gardening with cardboard. That one's come out already, hasn't it? Oh no, maybe it hasn't. Hang on. Has that video come out yet? Have I released that video with this entitled "Gardening with Cardboard"? No, I don't recall. Okay. No, I don't think I have. I think that's Friday is whenever it comes out. I have a toothpick. I think that's Friday is whenever it comes out. There was a moment when I was talking about where all the cardboard came from. It's because Mary keeps on ordering stuff. Oh my goodness. I was teasing her a little bit, so I edited that part out because I realized that probably it was not good, and I didn't want to make the next video I released solo camping out of the doghouse. So she's not the only one who orders stuff online. I order some stuff online too. I've got, hey, look at that. It's got a gnome on it. I've got some goodies that we just got. Now, ordinarily, I don't do this, but doghouse camping, yeah. Solo camping out of the doghouse, guys. Yeah. Problem is we don't have a doghouse, so it could be harsh. We do have a chicken coop that isn't currently being occupied by any chickens. Like, I have one chicken. He doesn't stay in the coop. He doesn't like it there. Bad memories. Mel is saying, can you grow celery in a pot? Yes, you can. And if so, is my horticulture compost enough, or what else does it need? Your horticulture compost should be enough. But I would go ahead and add a little supplemental fertilizer, maybe a 212 or a 222, at a few stages in the life cycle of the celery. Whenever it goes from being a monocotyledon to a dicot, In other words, whenever it goes from having its first set of leaves, which are its dicots, and puts on its true leaves, add fertilizer then, and then whenever it starts forming the stalk, go ahead and add a little more fertilizer at that point. But you're not going to harvest it for the seed or the fruit, so you wouldn't want to give it extra fertilizer at that point. But feed it periodically to light amounts of very diluted fertilizer. Okay. Yeah, Bert stays on the back porch. He's discovered that that's his favorite place to roost. It's kind of smart because I have some motion sensitive lights going up to that place. So if any critter comes along and tries to get to him, the lights will come on and he'll have prior notification that there's something coming. Okay, Mel is saying, can you make a suggestion on the fertilizer? Try some fish fertilizer, fish emulsion. Good stuff. If you happen to have some of that 10-20-10 or 10-10-10 lying around, take it and make it very, very diluted. I mean, just very diluted, teaspoon to a gallon sort of thing, and just water with that. Little air pillows. All right. So I'm going to show you how these guys package up and ship their plants. Check that out. Is that something or what? So the reason why you're paying so much for American Meadows to ship a live plant to you is because of the packaging, which ordinarily works great. So they've got, the plants are shipped in there. They're nice, snug, secure, upright. They look good, but something went wrong. Something went wrong here. You see that? Something went wrong. Uh-oh. This pot got emptied out. Oh no, it's a tragedy. What is in here? Oh. Yeah. We have plant-on-plant violence going on here. So this one collapsed. It fell, smushed into that one. Oof. Not looking good, folks. That's unfortunate because this is the one I was really looking for. These guys need to be watered too. All right. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Okay, this could be a problem. All right, I think that's the creeping. This one is the white, so this one's probably also the white. All right, so this is kind of interesting. All right, even though they take a lot of care with their packaging, right? Sometimes you wind up with accidents. For some reason, this packaging failed. Probably the box that was being shipped in got turned upside down or thrown, because not everybody in shipping is all that particular. They go, well, how are they going to tell it was me that threw your package? And it popped open, and these particular plants got spilled over. But I think they'll survive. So this guy here is a blue waterfall bellflower, and it's a creeping ground cover that produces little tiny blue flowers and algal leaves. So this is a salad green that's masquerading as an ornamental plant. Mel says you may have to contact the company's bird. No, it's okay. They took a tumble, but they're going to live. They'll live. I need to get them into some water here tonight. All right, so this one is a Rapido white bellflower. It's another bellflower, and I'm not going to pick the leaves off it. They're feeling kind of crusty. This guy needs water like as soon as I'm done tonight. I'm going to get these guys some water. But once again, bellflowers, edible leaves, edible flowers, which is one of the nice characteristics about the plant. So they had a little accident on the way here. But ordinarily, I can't fault American Meadows for their packaging. They go over the top with the packaging usually. I mean, let's see how that looked, right? Boy, I probably won't spend this much on packaging. But then again, I won't charge as much as American Meadows charges. They do charge a fair amount for these live plants that they're shipping. Let me get this guy out and see what it is. For these guys, we got two of them. What's this? This is, what is this? This is, oh yeah. Balmy Purple Bee Balm. So this is a, oh man, that smells good. This is a, these are Monarda bee balms of a variety that they're calling Balmy Purple. So it makes really nice purple colored flowers, kind of like the blue stocking Monarda. Actually, I prefer blue stocking if I can find it. Patty saying not a bad, yeah, not a bad price for the plants. Really, those are $4.99 on that size. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is about the size of plant that I would be shipping out at $4.99 myself. So it's not bad. Knowing everything that went into producing it, now I know everything that went into producing it. $4.99 is not a bad price. But sometimes packaging fails, even good packaging. I've gotten bee balm from American Meadows before, really liked it, and ultimately it wound up getting taken over by weeds because I wasn't careful and I didn't mulch the way I should have. It didn't stay on top of it, but all right. Let's put this here for the moment. All right, that's one box. I've got another box in here. Let's see, where are you? Oh, there you are. Oh, this is the heavy one. Oh. All right. Bellflowers are awesome. I believe they'll grow. Shoot, why don't I just check and find out? I'm pretty sure they'll grow up where you're at. Let me take a look. I'm going to the Plants for Future database, which everybody should have. Hang on, let me put this box down. Copy it and paste it in here. Plants for a Future database. If you don't have this saved to your favorites, save it to your favorites right there. Save that link. I wind up using it all the time. All right, and just put in bellflower, and then I'll be able to look. Campanula. There we go. Various species. Let's take a look at this one. There's a Korean bellflower, USDA zones 4 through 8. So yeah, it'll grow up there in Pennsylvania. Pardon me. Huh. Korean bellflowers are even eating the roots off of. Interesting. All right, hardiness zone. Looking for campanulas though. There we go. Other campanulas, Cornish bellflowers, hardy from 3 to 7. Wow, you can grow that one up close to the Arctic Circle. Carpathian bellflower, also 3 to 8. Turbinata, 3 to 7. So a lot of these can grow really far up north. Fairy thimbles are zones 5 through 9. So fairy thimble is campanula, cochlearifolia. Cochlearifolia. Really? Earleaf? Weird. Okay. Latin names. I don't know what they're thinking sometimes. So Gale Southern Living, Adriatic bellflower, which is Fenestrella, or Cochlearifolia earleaf, or fairy thimble bellflower, grow all the way into zone 9. Let me see. There's Adriatic. These ones are some version of Adriatic bellflower, the creeping bellflower. All right. So anyway, yeah, they'll grow up there. All right. Patty is saying, Campanula have a broad group with quite a variety of blooms, growth habits. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for some variety, you can find a whole bunch of different varieties of colors and shapes and things like that in the Campanula genus, and they're all edible. So a great way of sneaking stuff into your garden that nosy neighbors won't realize is an edible food. Monarda also is edible, and it grows. You're going to find some variety of Monarda that grows just about everywhere. Tim, hello, Tim at Ridge Life. How you doing? Let's see. So today, Tim, we're talking about what to look for when you're shopping for trees or other perennials, and I'm showing off some things that I just got shipped to me. Oi! There's Paul at Conrad Homestead and Freehandly Made up in Montana. You can grow Rapido. Yeah, okay. The Rapido, I've got those. Oh, yeah, all right. They've got them in blue and white both. They have a bit larger flower that's more of a bell shape. The creeping or the blue waterfall has a flower that's a little bit smaller and looks more like a little star. But all right, here we go. Yeah, a lot of these nurseries are part of a network, and they're not always shipping everything from one single place. As a matter of fact, I was looking at one wholesaler not too long ago, and going, do I want to order up 100 of something? Because I can. Okay, so what do I have in here? Let's see. I really like the way they do their shipping. It's just I'm not jazzed about the idea of trying to find all this material. But this box, it came in really well. They probably should have gone ahead and put another sleeve into that first box to keep it from flopping around. But these guys, I can get them out. This is. More bellflowers. These are more the blue waterfall trailing bellflower. This was a Campanula. No. This one is a Carpatica. This one's a white bellflower. They're all jumbled up in here. That one's white. All right, that's a blue waterfall. Thought they were all blue waterfall. And this one's a white. So I've got a variety of both white and blue bellflowers coming out. I just have to get these into some water here soon because I got them day before yesterday and I didn't want to open the packages until today. All right, I'm just going to leave this stuff right here. Conrad Homestead, yes, you can graft edible varieties onto them, but they're still going to be Bradford's underneath. Okay. Have to get the shipping people not to throw your boxes around. There's not much you can do about it. About the best you can do is make sure that the things inside the box can't bounce around too much. John's saying Love Box there in Tulsa makes those cartons. Oh, cool. I'll have to go check them out then. So I've been looking for places where I can get cartons that aren't too incredibly expensive, because it becomes part of the price of what you ship. You know, you don't want to have to pay to ship dirt. You don't want to have to pay to ship too much cardboard either. Always wait a couple of years before buying new selections, or sometimes sold for $100 per pot the first year, then often revert back to green, waste of money. Hmm. Oh, we're talking about like a brand new variety of something. Okay, and Mel is saying, do I have elderberries set? I don't. I don't have any elderberry for sale. I was trying to figure out who has some. Uh, there's a place called Tennessee Nursery that you can get some from, but you probably have to order a bunch. It's the only one off the top of my head that actually I know has them at the moment, but they're a wholesaler. All right. And I know John's got some elderberry down by the river. He's probably going to have to wait until they start putting on leaves. Okay, Amy says she has some, Mel. So Amy and Mel, you guys get together and exchange addresses and do something nice for Amy, and she might send you some cuttings. Okay, there's another trailing bellflower or blue waterfall. Pretty, pretty. Depending upon the pH of the soil, the blooms are either going to be a bright blue or a purplish. All right, so this one is, this one's the bee balm. Okay, I have to pinch off a leaf. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Kind of a very delicate flavor. It's not too much different from Fistanula Monarda, the Van down by the river. Right. Uh, Blue stocking tastes a bit more like bergamot fruit. Anyway, so bee balm is good for, of course, attracting pollinators. Bee balm, after all, but it also contains a lot of thymol, and thymol is that same chemical that you get in oregano that gives oregano its pungent flavor, and it's also a very effective antiseptic. So if you live in a place where it's difficult to grow things like oregano, you can grow bee balm and get your thymol from the bee balm and attract some. Okay, that's the blue waterfall also. Attract some pollinators too while you're at it. And this one's another blue waterfall. I think I got 8 of the blue waterfalls. All right, and there's bee balm. Woohoo! Sorry. And another bee balm. All right, that's it. That's all for this shipment of plants. Yay. All right, so I guess after I get off here, I'll go grab a 10-20 tray and put some water in it and dump those in there and get them rehydrated. And if the weather allows, I'll get them planted tomorrow. All right. Lindsay Miller says, I have elderberry rooted cuttings ready, just trying to figure out everything I need to do to sell in Texas and online. Oh, that's nice, Lindsay. Nice, nice, nice. Well, I mean, it's not hard, it's just tedious. The figuring out everything you need to do to get ready to sell. It's more of an exercise in mental endurance than anything. Texas, I imagine you could probably get away with starting up an online nursery without applying for a license to begin with. At some point, if you get big, they may want you to, but to start out with, you just list on an online vendor source, Amazon, or I'm using Wix. You could use Squarespace. Squarespace might be better, that you have products for sale. And sometimes the vendor requires that you jump through a few hoops. They want to make sure you're not selling anything illegal or nasty. Or if you are selling something illegal or nasty, that you've paid off the right people in the criminal syndicate. Because nothing is really truly illegal if you pay off the right people. All right. Conrad Homestead says Akiva's Silver Twisted Tree Nursery is sold out on elderberries. Oh, that would be a good place to get them from, by the way. Twisted Tree Nursery or Edible Acres, either one. And they're up in the Northeast. Twisted Tree is good. All right. Let me back up. I've been not paying attention to the comments here. All right. Papa Pepper has some for sale. Cool. Right. So Mel, I mean, Amy's got some. Lindsay's got some in Texas. And Lindsay, one of the first things I did last year, before I even started selling anything, was just whenever I was chatting with people that said, "Hey, have you got that?" And I went, "Yeah, I've got some of these. Can I get some?" "Yeah, you can get some." And I would just go ahead and go out, package them up, ship them out there, and say, "Hey, if you do an unpackaging or an unboxing, show people what you got from me, get them planted, and then show people what they look like after they've been planted for a while." I mean, that way, later on, whenever I'm actually really selling professionally, and somebody has a question about whether or not the plants that I ship you are going to do okay, I can say, "Hey, go watch this person's videos. They've gotten plants from me before," and you'll be able to see them there. All right. Patty says, "I guess the farmers markets will be chock full of elderberry plants this year." It's not necessarily a bad thing. All right. Oh, yeah. Bribe the right people. Works for Congress. Opposite of progress. So yeah, Lindsay, start by just finding people that are interested in whatever the plant is that you have, and shipping them one or two. Difficulties. My computer's messing up. There we go. I'm back. Technical difficulties. The computer froze up. I don't know why it does that. Yeah, package up some, ship them out, and then you'll have some word of mouth already from people that have received your plants, and that does a bit to help in the future. You'll know whether your shipping method or not is actually working without having the risk of having sold somebody something and then they get it and it arrives in not good condition or something like that. Mel saying, "Does elderberry winter well and come back?" Yes, it does. They go dormant in the winter. They come back in the spring. It's not a problem. I'm back. Yep. Which tells me I've been on for at least an hour, because usually it takes about an hour, and then we end up freezing up. So I've got, of course, that shipment from American Meadows. Not bad. They had one little oops in there with the package that came apart, but well, you can see if that packaging system works the way it's supposed to, it locks everything in there good and tight. And other than that, the plants aren't in too bad a shape. They're a little bit dry. They need a drink, and part of that is my fault because I didn't put them in water as soon as I got them. Here in a couple of weeks, I'll be showing you something from Michigan Bulb Company, and I've got some pretty cool stuff on the way from Michigan Bulb. I've got an ostrich fern and 3 different types of hostas, which are another edible plant that are coming from Michigan Bulb. I've got these really nice filigree hostas that are white-leaved and grow in absolute full shade. And then there's one called a June hosta, which is a multicolored variegated leaf, very pretty. And then mouse here, which is a little tiny blue hosta. So I'll be able to go from a 3-foot tall ostrich fern to a 2-foot tall filigree hosta to a 15-inch tall June hosta down to a 6-inch mouse here, going away from a shaded corner, sort of. Those should be pretty cool. Not cheap, by the way, but very, very cool plants. And who knows, maybe I'll have some to spread around here in a couple of years. But hey, we've been on for a while now, a little over an hour. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and you guys have a wonderful evening. I will catch you next week. Bye-bye.